Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to JDB's Morning Cap. Today is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Um, and this is probably the second week of the month of July. So there's a lot of good things going on here today around sports, but this is a good start for us and for them. So I'll take under consideration here from here on out. So we had a lot to get to here today. So I'm gonna start off with breaking news in the NBA, and this is great news for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You're gonna love this. The Cavaliers have extended Donovan Mitchell a 4-year, $273 million extension with the Cavs. So good. That is a great deal for Donovan Mitchell, and he deserves to be happy with staying with Cleveland for 4 more years. So here's my question before I talk about Donovan Mitchell's situation. Does that mean that the Cavs are ruling LeBron James out of the mix of returning to Cleveland? Well, so with that 4-year extension of Donovan Mitchell, I think I have to rule LeBron James as out of the mix of the returning to Cleveland, because it feels like Donovan Mitchell wants to work with LeBron James. It doesn't really work like that. It doesn't. But good news is it's considered done. And now all they have to do is rework James Harden's contract. That's what's missing right now. So if they decided to re-sign James Harden with Cleveland, then that puts LeBron out of the mix. If James Harden gets re-signed with the same franchise, LeBron has two choices. Should he go to Philadelphia to work with Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, or should he play the Golden State Warriors with Stephen Curry, Jalen Green? But we just been talking about. There's a lot of things they can put themselves into position. But now, no questions asked. And now let's revisit Donovan Mitchell's contract extension right now. Does he deserve to win the MVP in the near future? Yes. Not next year, but in the near future. He's just getting better years after year after year after year. But I don't have a problem with that. If you keep Donovan Mitchell for 4 more years with Cleveland, that is a big deal. Mental and physically, big deal. But I'll tell you what, if I am more than happy to get all this rectified and all that stuff, you put it in, he'll take that. And he'll try to make the impact for the rest of the Eastern Conference. Speaking of Eastern Conference, I'm going to talk about that right now. Who do you think? Who should be the best team in the Eastern Conference in 2026-27 season? So last year, the Pistons were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference in 2025-26 season. it only lasted two. Pistons already lasted 2 rounds. Pistons escaped the first round after they were trailing 3-1 against the Magic. End up taking the series from Orlando in the first round. And then the Pistons lost the series to the Cavs in 7 games. Pistons were up 2-0 before they lost the next 3 games. And then they won Game 6, and then they lost to Game 7. And they end up eliminating the second round. So the Pistons already lost Tobias Harris to the Spurs. So that's a huge loss for the Pistons. He's been heart and soul for this team for a couple of years to carry this team to the postseason. But Cade Cunningham has to be heart and soul for this team, for Detroit. Detroit Pistons team has gotten better the last couple of years. So there's potential growth in Detroit. But you're losing a player like that of Harris is really a big deal. Now the Pistons are giving a fair share of opportunities. Who's going to step up other than Cade Cunningham? Like Duncan Robinson. Jalen Duren. So there's several players that got to step up for Detroit. Now let's talk about the rest of the East. Who do you think should be the best team in the East? So before I answer that question, I'm gonna look at some other teams other than Detroit. You got the Miami Heat. They already got Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's gonna pair with Bam Adebayo. The Miami Heat expect to be the top horse of the Eastern Conference. I mean, their expectations in Miami is really, really high. They expect to win a bunch of games. As long as Giannis is healthy, this team is dangerous. And then you got the Philadelphia 76ers. I've been talking about Jaylen Brown quite a lot over the last several weeks. Should the Sixers get LeBron James to dominate the Eastern Conference? Well, we'll have to find out as soon as possible. It's all things considered. And then you got Joel Embiid. And then you got Tyrese Maxey. I mean, this team is pretty much deep to say the least. Philadelphia, you expect to win a lot of games. As long as they're healthy, as long as they perform on a high level, this team can come out of the East. Philadelphia 76ers can come out of the East if they can perform on a high level. And then you got the Boston Celtics. They're still in the mix to be the best team in the East. But it won't be easy. But you got Paul George and Jason Tatum. But we just been talking about the Celtics in 2026-27 season. It's going to be really difficult to put it together. But you already took that because of that. I think that's best for someone that can really step up and play these big roles. And you got Peyton Pritchard. Then you got Neemias Queta. And then you got Sam Hauser. Baylor Shireman. And then you got Derek White. And and then they add a couple of guys. They have Mike Conley and Mitchell Robinson. There's several role players or several supporting casts. So, no problem. Then you got the Toronto Raptors. You got Kawhi Leonard. But here's the catch: the Kings already waived DeMar DeRozan. Should the Raptors bring DeMar DeRozan back? You know what? I think that's a good idea. They should bring DeMar DeRozan back. We know Kyle Lowry retired as a Raptor, and he won a championship with Kawhi Leonard in 2018-19 season. So that's considered done. And now possibly they can bring DeMar DeRozan back, this time pairing up with Kawhi Leonard. I think this is going to, even though they could be possibly from trading each other to become potential teammates, that would be a damn cool moment right there. DeMar DeRozan pairing up with Kawhi Leonard, like I said, could be from it. It could be they've been gone from trading each other between the Spurs and Raptors in the 2018 offseason to possibly become teammates. If it goes through, if Raptors do intend to sign DeMar DeRozan, then that would be a cool moment here. He's looking for his first career championship. He's trying to get that done. So, right now, here's my question. Who do you think who is the best team in the East? Honestly, it's going to be Miami Heat. The Miami, don't forget the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I spoke too soon. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Before I picked the best team in the East. And then the New York Knicks. So, I'm going to go to New York Knicks first. Defending NBA champs, the New York Knicks. They're going to be really, really fun to watch. The New York Knicks defending NBA champs. Don't count them out. Because of that, this team will be right there. And then you got the Philadelphia 76ers. And then you got the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this is a balance. This could be potential balance of the Eastern Conference. So, man, I don't know what to say because which team is performing at a high level and which team will not exceed their expectations. So you got Donavan Mitchell and other guys. In the Knicks, you got Jalen Brunson. So the best team in the East, I have to go to New York Knicks. Honestly, the best team in the East has got to be the New York Knicks. Clearly, because they know what they're capable of. It's about Jalen Brunson, scoring ability, and his performance in the clutch. The Knicks could be the best team in the East. So that's not a problem because if I could pick like top six, if I could pick like a top six best teams, number one is the New York Knicks. Number two, I'm gonna go with Miami Heat. Number three is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number four, the Philadelphia 76ers. Number five, the Boston Celtics. And number six is got to be number six is up for grabs. Number 6, I had to go with Detroit Pistons as a number 6. So that's my top 6 best teams in the East. So if that's the case, it's considered done as well. All right, when we come back, I'm going to talk the best team of the West. So we will have to talk about all this. And also, who will have a better season in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys or the Cincinnati Bengals? I'll discuss both of these teams later on in this show. And also, we'll talk the Vikings' outlook in 2026. We'll step away. Welcome back to JDB's Morning Cap. When we talk about the Western Conference last year, the Spurs won the Western Conference in 7 games against the Thunder. But the Thunder was the best team in the West last year with a 64-18 record. But the Spurs were Western Conference champions after beating the Thunder in 7 games. Spurs were trailing 3 games to 2 in that series. But now, when I'm looking for the Western Conference, who do you think who will be the best team in the West in 2026-27 season? Let's start with the defending Western Conference champion San Antonio Spurs. Great run last year. It was a dominant regular season. Shaky postseason, but they got to the finals. It's just because it's young. They had some young experience. They try to go through the process. But now next year it's about growth. It's about growth and consistency. But I can live with that because the San Antonio Spurs are just clearly on the mark to say, hey, we can do all this, we can do all that. But no questions asked. There's something else you really wanted to take that. But so that, and then I think Victor Wembanyama will win the NBA MVP next year, of course. And then you got the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder, they've been the best team in the NBA over the last couple of years. They've been the number 1 seed over the last 3 years. So if Thunder wants to be the number 1 seed 4 years in a row, they have to get guys healthy like Jalen Williams. They had to they just extend Isaiah Hartenstein his contract, so that's a good sign for them. They need Casey Wallace to be productive. They need AJ Mitchell to be productive. And that's going to be the key. And then you need Jalen Williams, like Jalen J. Will Williams, to step up. Let's say SGA, Jalen J. W. Williams needs to step up. You got Chet Holmgren, solid year last year. This Oklahoma Thunder team has been legit over the last couple of years. They have their championship pedigree over the last couple of years. So there's nothing else you can advise that. And then you got the Denver Nuggets. You got Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, the best 2 players on the Nuggets team. I mean, you can't take anything consideration for what's been transpired. But you've done everything right for this team. You've done everything right for every contributions. But you had just enough and anything left to say, okay, I can feel you. I can take it. But we all know that there's several people who say we can get this job done right from the get-go. You already took that there. Yeah, you were right there because of that. This one will never disappoint. And then you got the Houston Rockets. When you add Marcus Smart, now Kevin Durant, this Rockets team is trying to put themselves together. Last year they got bounced out of the first round against the Lakers in 6 games. They just need another guard play. Last year it's been a struggle. The guards have struggled. But the inconsistency is seen to be really issuing. So it's going to be a huge one here. And then you got the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers are losing LeBron James. That's understandable. But you still got Luka Doncic. But the Lakers are expected to be a low seed when LeBron James left in LA. But they got some fresh young guns like Austin Reeves and several other for the Lakers. I think the Lakers will be better as far as defensive improvements. So that one we'll have to see a check mark. Okay, who will have to come out of the Western Conference? And then you got the Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, the Timberwolves. This Timberwolves team, they expect to be dangerous. The Timberwolves have been in the Western Conference Finals in 2 of their last 3 years. Did not make it last year because they lost in 6 games against the Spurs in the Western Conference semifinals. So let's see if they can add new guys. LaMelo Ball Jr. is the newest member of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's going to pair it with Anthony Edwards. I've just been talking about it quite a lot. So this is about it. Who will be the best team in the Western Conference? Number 1, I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. The Thunder's 3-season number 1 seed streak is going to be snapped. So I'm going to pick Spurs the best team of the West. Number 2, I'm going to pick the Thunder. I think Thunder is still dangerous. Are they the same team as last couple of years? Probably not. But they're still dangerous. Are they still dangerous? Yes, they are. Number 3, I'm gonna go with I have to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves in this one. I have to go with Minnesota because I think Minnesota has a chance to put this all together. Number 4, I gotta go with the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets number 4, and then number 5, I gotta go with the Houston Rockets, and then number 6 is up for grabs. If I would love to pick the Lakers, Lakers or Warriors are up for grabs. So I have to pick the Lakers as number 6 because of younger guys trying to step up and they'll try to prove it. So that's where we're the efforts here in this one here. So I picked the Spurs to be the best team in the West in 26-26 because of Victor Wembanyama's performance, potential Victor Wembanyama's performance. Come next, I'll talk NFL for 2 segments. First one, I'm going to talk who will have a better regular season, the Cowboys or the Bengals. Both teams missed the playoffs last season. Same as Minnesota Vikings. We'll take a look. I'll have the Vikings outlook for 2026 and the schedule. And I'll step away for about a couple minutes. Welcome back to JDB's Morning Cap. let's let's revisit the Cowboys and Bengals seasons. Here, so let's take a look. The Dallas Cowboys finished 7-9-1 in 2025. So 7 wins, 9 losses, 1 tie. And last year, the Cowboys defense was amongst the worst in the NFL. They give up 30 points per game allowed, which is most in the NFL. They give up the most passing yards allowed in the NFL last year. So it's been a big struggle for this Cowboys defense. Yeah, meanwhile, for the Cincinnati Bengals, they finished 6-11 last year. Joe Burrow got hurt in week 2. And they went 1-8 without Joe Burrow. But the defense for the Bengals gave up 28.9 points allowed per game, which is 30th in the NFL last year. And close games has been an issue for the Bengals last year. In one-score games last year, out of those 6 wins, they won just half of those. They won half of those wins. Half of those 6 wins have been decided by one score. Just 3 of the 6 wins decided by one-score affair. So here are the one-score losses. They didn't pick up their first one-score loss until week 8 against the Jets. They blew a lead against the Jets in Cincinnati, and then they lost to Chicago on Loveland's game-winning touchdown. And then they lost to Buffalo, make it 3-3. Then they lost to Cleveland, they're 3-4. And lost. So the Bengals went 3-5, and they lost to the Patriots in week 12 in a one-score game as well. So the Bengals went 3-5 in one-score games last year. They struggled to close out games defensively. So when they add Dexter Lawrence this offseason, they try to get this defense improved. For the Dallas Cowboys, their defense is they're creating more stuff. All things considered, but so they got their work cut out for this one here. So, who do you think who will have a better season, the Bengals or the Cowboys? I'm gonna say the Cincinnati Bengals. Honestly, I think the Bengals will have a better season. Will they win? Will they win more games? Yeah, they have one of the easiest schedules in the league. No team other than the Bengals have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And they can easily win this division, even though you have to face the Ravens twice. Okay, so as I'm saying that the Bengals would have a better season because they have no other than the Bengals have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. So for the Dallas Cowboys, what they have to do to get better, I know it's their defense, but what they have to get better at. just need to perform. They need to just improve. They need to get better defensively. It's considered done. But we've just been talking about the inconsistency, and we saw what just happened. Right now, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, we just didn't see how this is going to work out for the best. And they need to perform in a high level. It's just volume. It's just volume and consistency. We already know. All right, let's move on to that. Let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings outlook in 2026. Let's do that right now. So, right now, the quarterback situation in Minnesota is still in question. Who will be the week 1 starter? Will it be Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy? I mean, I'm just saying. They say they're picking 8.5 wins. That's their win total for the Minnesota Vikings. So should I choose the over or the under 8.5 wins? Despite the quarterback situation, I have to pick the under, man. I have to pick under 8.5 wins. I'm gonna go with 7. They just don't have enough to win football games. It could consider turnovers after turnovers and all that stuff. I don't know. We will see. We'll see J.J. McCarthy in some starts. But Kyler Murray will get most of his workload of starts. I mean, it's a starting quarterback by committee in Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell. Well, he's a good coach, but he has to grind it out. So if that's the case, and the worst case scenario is to have that done. And that's about your team. It's about executing your team, executing your game plan. You don't have to do anything else with it. That's not a problem. And you would have took that deal, did you? All right, let's take up the Vikings 2026 schedule. I don't know if I haven't heard anything, but we'll see how it pans out here. Week 1, they're going to be home for the Packers. They'll win that one. Week 2 at Chicago, they'll take the loss. Week 3 at Tampa Bay, that's also a loss. 1 and 2. Week 4 against the Dolphins at home, they'll win that one. They'll be 2 and 2. Week 5 at New Orleans, that's a win. 3 and 2. Week 6 against the Colts at home, that's a win. 4 and 2. Actually, they have a bye week 6. Week 7 against the Colts at home. That's a win. So 4 and 2. Then week 8 at Detroit, they'll probably lose that one. It'll be 4-3. Week 9 against the Bills at home, that's a loss. Then week 10 at Green Bay, that's also a loss. So it'll be 4 and 5. Then week 11 against the 49ers in Vikings will play at 49ers in Mexico City. That's a loss. Make it 4 and 6. And then week 12 against the Falcons at home. They'll win that one, make it 5-6. Week 13 against the Panthers at home. That's a loss, 6-6. Oh, that's a win. My bad. That's a win. My bad. 6-6. They'll beat the Panthers at home. Then week 14 at New England. That's a loss, 6-7. Week 15 against the Lions at home. That's a loss, 6-8. And then week 16 against the Commanders at home for the Vikings. That's a loss, 6-9. Week 17 at the Jets. At Jets, that's a loss, 6-10. Week 18 against the Bears at home. That's a win. So Vikings will go 7-10. So I just don't see Minnesota Vikings making the playoffs. I don't see the Vikings making the playoffs, unfortunately. And most likely be last place in the NFC North, barring several losses from other north of the NFC teams. So who'll be my week 1 starter? It's got to be Kyler Murray. No surprise. J.J. McCarthy will start the season as a backup role. So you might as well take that. Here. All right, what's coming up tomorrow on JDB's Morning Cap? Tomorrow I'll talk about the Yankees trade situation. Should Yankees make a move? Because trade deadline is on August 3rd, which is next month, which is less than a month away. What happened to Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, that's what I was saying. What happened to Brandon Ayuk? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Do you think the Celtics season will get better or worse? I'll think about that tomorrow. I'll talk about that tomorrow. And then the Raiders are dealing with a quarterback battle in Las Vegas between Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza. So I'll talk all that tomorrow. So, with that being said, this is JDB's Morning Cap. We'll catch you tomorrow and have a good rest of your day. Take care.